70 kilometres off this coastline in Azerbaijan, beneath the rich waters of the Caspian Sea, lies the Shah Deniz gas field. It's estimated that Shah Deniz contains reserves of between 1.5 and 3 billion barrels of oil and up to 100 billion cubic metres of gas. In November, 3 underwater pipelines are sending the first gas onshore to the terminal at Sangashal for processing.
We're actually bringing gas into these facilities right now, and next few days we'll be pressurising the gas pipeline to the Shah Deniz platform, so that's ongoing. It really is the hub for offshore production coming into Sangashal from the offshore oil and gas fields, and then it's the hub for the transportation systems that go to the Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea.
For European consumers, the Caspian energy reserves and the pipelines that bring the oil and gas to Europe's doorstep are increasing in importance. Energy is the backbone of Europe's economy, driving the engine of economic stability. At present, 80% of Europe's energy requirements come from oil, gas and coal. The EU currently imports 50% of this, but that figure is set to rise to 70% by 2030. Making European consumers and business vulnerable.
The problem is our security of supply. I mean, is there any possibility of disruption? And when we mean disruption, we mean disruption in terms of physical disruption or in terms of prices.
Both these factors came together on the 1st of January. A price dispute between the Ukraine and Russia disrupted supplies coming to Europe, sending shockwaves across the Union. Conflict in Iraq and continuing instability in the Middle East has meant unpredictable swings in oil prices for consumers throughout the year. So in a volatile new century, what can Europe do to ensure the security of its energy supplies?
What we have to do is to grow our relationships with many other countries, particularly those that are energy suppliers. That is, of course, Russia. But not only Russia, also Algeria, for instance, the Caucasian countries and Central Asia. We think it is highly important that Russia remains an important supplier, but that we also diversify.
Energy dependency may be a fact of life for the EU, but most of Europe's energy comes from within the neighbourhood. To the south, Algeria remains one of the EU's most important suppliers, providing 1/3 of Europe's gas. With new agreements signed this year, there is a continuing commitment to the energy partnership between the EU and Algeria. The EU is set to double its energy supplies from Algeria in the next 3 years. Libya has already started supplying gas to Europe, and exploration is ongoing. With a quarter of the EU's oil and 40% of gas resources coming from Russia, a strong energy dialogue between the two has obviously been important, and this will continue. The Ukraine is a vitally important transit country for EU energy supplies and an important strategic partner. A memorandum of understanding on energy cooperation has been signed between the EU and Ukraine, which significantly looks to integrate Ukraine into the EU energy market. Kazakhstan currently produces 1.1 million barrels of crude oil a day. That's set to triple by the end of the decade, and it's about to become a huge gas exporter. The EU and Kazakhstan have had a partnership agreement in operation since 1999, and the EU is seeking to work with Kazakhstan on the Trans-Caspian Energy Transit Corridor. Azerbaijan has had a long history in the oil business. It produced 50% of the world's oil at the turn of the 19th century, and since gaining independence from Soviet rule, Azerbaijan has developed a strong energy service sector. EU energy imports from Azerbaijan rose to over €2 billion last year. For the EU, it's a strategically interesting energy supplier because it's a non-Russian, non-Middle Eastern source of energy. To consolidate this relationship, a memorandum of understanding on energy cooperation was signed this month between Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev and European Commission President José Manuel Barroso. Diplomatic investment is key, but so is investing in modern infrastructure such as the pipelines to secure long-term supply. And here too, the EU has been instrumental. Innogate facilitates the transport of oil and gas both within the Eastern Europe and Central Asia region and towards the export markets of Europe. Importantly, Innogate acts as a catalyst to attract private investors and international finance to pipeline projects.
To secure, you have to invest. Investment in transmission, which is a key issue, because oil or gas, they have to go through pipeline or gas line in order to go to the end consumer. And so it costs much to do that. And investments are made by private company, but sometimes you need some incentive, to make the right investment at the right moment.
By their very root, the pipelines create public, private and interstate partnerships which can last years. With gas pipelines, for example, a complex network of energy flows from multiple suppliers indicates the impressive scale of work ongoing to secure supply to the EU energy market over the coming decades.
We see a benefit in the fact that the European Union is a large neighbor, and Azerbaijan is already included in the European neighborhood policy following recent expansion of European Union, which means that it is a stable partner and stable market for us.
And that is Europe's most powerful tool in guaranteeing and securing supply. Its market. 450 million consumers make it one of the largest energy markets in the world. And together, the member states have considerable purchasing power.
While, on the one hand, it is natural that each and every country wants to work also for its own national supplies, it is very important to maximize the coordination. Because then, of course, we as European Union, we are a very potential customer, and thus, of course, would get important and good prices and a lot of transparency in the market. And this is what we should achieve.
For the moment, I say there is no common energy policy, but there is a common energy vision of the future. So we have to try to transform the vision into a politic. And I think that on that the Commission has a very important role, and they play very well their role.
The vision of a sustainable future is proven by Europe's commitment to renewables, energy efficiency and the Kyoto Agreement. As winter draws in, the price of energy will remain high on the agenda. Having one voice on energy not only enables the EU to secure supply on behalf of the market, it also represents a real opportunity for Europe to present its sustainable vision to the world.